sanctuary if you're ready tonight. I know that it's all so heavy. Won't you let me inside? 'Cause I could be your sanctuary.
What's up guys, hope everyone is doing well. In this video I'm going to be going over some analysis that is just strictly altcoin related. First and foremost, the first thing I want to touch on is the total crypto market cap chart that includes everything except for Bitcoin and Ethereum. It does still include Cardano. I personally, when it comes to my view of blockchain solutions, just cryptographic solutions in general, I personally just see Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano as kind of the big three, and everything outside of those three are considered altcoins in my opinion, because for the most part, and there are some standalone chains that would be considered altcoins that aren't built on top of Ethereum, or Ethereum and Cardano, but for the most part, most alternative cryptocurrencies are built upon Cardano or Ethereum. Anyways, for the analysis here, we can see that I have it pretty simply diagrammed out with three separate phases. Basically, we see a bull phase, a bear phase, and an accumulation phase. That would be turquoise, pink, and yellow. We see an accumulation channel, which is directly correlate to the accumulation phase, and we see our deviation in red from the accumulation channel, which is also the absolute low of the bear market leading into the accumulation phase, where things really start to break out of the accumulation channel structure and head up towards some sort of next high. Each of these are within, clearly as you can see with the black dotted trend lines right here, going back to 17, 18, 19, 2020, right here from around 2021, 2023, the most recent price action we've seen from this double top we saw set back here at around May 2021 to November of 2021. So now the question really at this point is whether or not we are going to break towards the upside or the downside. My personal bias is that we will break towards the upside, as I have labeled these three text boxes up here. Each of these each of these bull, bear, and accumulation phases, they all have the exact same pivot points. Now that is already as conclusive fact for the bull and the bear, but when it comes to the accumulation, this will end up falling through if the current local low we've set, which is roughly now around like 307 billion. If this is the last local swing low and then we continue to go up from here, we don't go any lower, we break above this accumulation channel like this turquoise path I have right here, then we will actually fall through this pattern that is seeming to be seen here. When it comes to the indicators, we can also see the same thing basically happening here. We see a channel overlaid the RSI. We see bull market top downwards. We see the same type of pattern as we see on the price in pink. We even see the same temporal length for the accumulation phase going back to December of 2018 to March of 2020. Currently, again, 67 bars, June of 2022, all the way out to around October, last week of September is when this will end. Which is currently lining up with my Bitcoin analysis as I went over in yesterday's video and just in recent videos in general. All this factoring in Bitcoin and everything else seems to be indicating that we're going to, if I go back to the price chart, break more towards the upside here rather than breaking down and making new lows, essentially saying that the bear market hasn't been over this entire time as we've been going sideways basically since June of last year for this chart. When it comes to the stock RSI, it's not too much for me to go here, but in general, as you can clearly see here, what is denoted on here is when we're in this lower range, we're seeing a bear market, just downside, but when we're in this upper range, we're seeing upside. This is obviously a portion of this right here would have been in the accumulation phase, but you can see once the bear market, the bull market actually started, we stayed within this upper range to carry out some sort of positive acceleration, where the RSI is a velocity, the stock RSI is an acceleration, and the MACD being a momentum-based indicator. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, it looks like Bitcoin is coming down on the stock RSI for like a last liquidity grab or just a final, retracement towards the downside before major bullish upheaval begins into an actual full-on bull market rather than some sort of bullish accumulation, some sort of transition into a bull market we've been seeing recently. When it comes to this MACD down here, we can put a trend lined roughly around right here, connecting these two tops right here. Actually, let's go ahead and draw it to where exactly I'm specifically talking about. If we do it right here, and we clone this exact same trend line, we create a range from these three rough highs right here, but were formed during the actual top range here on the price. We can see that we've already broken out of this downtrend channel we've been stuck in, going all the way back to around April 2021. We've just been going sideways along the accumulation. The point, or where we are at this point, is we want to see the 0 point, which is this yellow dotted line, this convergence point that the MACD respects. Eventually we're going to want to have some sort of strong release of pressure, as the MACD has been building up momentum and pressure towards the upside this entire time. If we look here at the RVI, you can also see that RVI being relative velocity index, that ever since we entered the sideways action back here in June of 2022, this RVI has been slowly building up towards the 0 point. Once it finally crosses that threshold, similar to how it's going over the stock RSI and relatively similar to the MACD as well. You can see we were in this low range back here during the bear market accumulation period. Towards the end of the accumulation period, we then flip towards this upper range. Bear market starts to set in, we then flip back to the upper or that lower range. And then now we're in accumulation. We're slowly going to switch back toward this upper range. It's basically just a oscillator that looks really complex because it's really jagged and volatile looking, essentially. But outside of that, when it comes to price target with respect to this, I think anything from around 14 to at highest 20 trillion is likely for the upcoming, well, rather actually, when it comes to the entire total crypto market cap, I think 18 to 21 trillion is maximal, but I think most reasonable when it comes to the overall total crypto market cap, which is not this chart. I think it's more so around maybe 16, 17, 18 being the lower bound of the maximal bound that I mentioned. When it comes to this chart, though, I think that if we actually take a Fibonacci retracement here from this all-time high to the previous low, splits to 1.618, pushing 12 trillion, 786 is up to 21 trillion. I think maybe 12 to 14, roughly in that range, maybe even down as low as 10 is likely for this chart. Although the price target for this chart, to me specifically, at least personally, I don't really concern myself with price targets for this. I just look at this chart mainly just to show and kind of get into some sort of generalization of where all altcoins are, or where the entire crypto market is, if I were to be looking at the entire crypto market cap. But in general, the summarization of this chart is it looks like things are most likely leaning towards the upside rather than towards the downside, which is a good thing. Leads me into, I'm going to go over 3 altcoins in this video: Phantom, MATIC, and XYO. Here we can see with Phantom, we have this green range right here. If we end up losing this 618 we've been holding going all the way back to July of 2021, if we end up losing that, I think the next area was going to be around the 4.57 to the 382, which is roughly 3 cents all the way up to 5 cents. If we lose that, we could go down to as low as I think is roughly 1 cent. I don't personally believe that this box will be met, either the upper or the lower portion of it. I think ultimately the 618 roughly will be held. Now it's completely possible, especially if Bitcoin goes down lower than the lowest local of it set so far, that we could see, you know, it totally go down, maybe just a little bit more, and maybe down to even the 5.41, you know, especially if Bitcoin drops to 20,000, like I've been mentioning recently. We could perhaps see Phantom go down to 10 cents roughly, or maybe anywhere above that. This lower than the wick low right now, around 18 cents. But the moving averages right here are really kind of calling in a specific importance, around 37 to 57 cents, 37 to 57 cents. The 786 lies at 72 cents. That lines with this double top we set back here from around February, January, March, April, which is when Bitcoin was setting its highs in 2021. So that's obviously an important area. And then in general, obviously the all-time highs is going to be important to get back over. There's a clear indication of confluence, I think, from this first pink dot back here to this turquoise dot, and when you fast forward to currently this pink dot to this turquoise dot, and as I clearly have on the price, I think ultimately what is we making a double bottom. Whether or not we continue to go lower, like I said, a little bit, or we have already met our local low, the wick low to around 17 or approximately 18 cents. Just depends. I think all in all, in general, everything seems to be indicating that we're going to be moving into the upside into 2024, maybe even as late as 2025. May see a little bit more downside in the next maybe month or two, but I don't think it's too significant at this point. If you take a look at the stock RSI, you can see it's completely bottomed out, again, akin to this area back here, which was part of the confluence I believe we're seeing on the RSI. As you can see we reached the bottom back here in July when we had this final like blow off top into the final double top. It's set back here from around November 2021 to January of 2022. And obviously we touched it back here during this bear market range low until we finally eventually got lift off. But I think this is going to be something similar to what I mentioned on the Bitcoin chart in yesterday's video, and how we're kind of just seeing this last liquidity grab. We're seeing the stock RSI specifically had this major drop towards the downside. It's going to be a rather quick drop. We'll see some sort of rough V-shape recovery here towards the upside. Good grief, I don't know why my tools don't want to click like 50% of the time. But we'll see some sort of a quick relief rally towards the upside here, as I think roughly. I mean, we could see, obviously it's going to be a little bit more intricate than that. Maybe we'll do something like this and then, you know, eventually go back up. But overall, I think it's going to be a rather quick relief, assuming we don't have some sort of more, you know, like month, 2 month downside. That's kind of the last like liquidation event per se, leading into a part of the bullish transition leading into the bull market. If we look here at this MACD, we can see that we've already broken this trend line. You can see that each of these three bottoms were essentially on a horizontal line, where the price was continuing just to go down over and over time. That was some sort of mundane, exaggerated, not super strong bullish divergence, but we see we've already broken this trend line. We've just been oscillating. We converged towards zero, been oscillating around zero, going all the way back to July of last year. At some point, as I've been saying, probably sound like a broken record at this point, all this pressure that's being built up during this bear market is going to have to be released, and the MACD is really the best way to see that. We've been going sideways for so long. At some point, it's going to have to be, all this pressure that's being built up is going to have to be released. I mean, and as I say all the time, it could be towards the upside or the downside. Each of them are just as likely, but considering all the data, considering Bitcoin, the total crypto market cap charts, it just seems like things are more likely poised to be going towards the upside rather than seeing some sort of significant downside continuing the bear market. But like I said, I mean, we could see some sort of final washout below the prior two lows back here, going all the way back to July of 2021, because this is an altcoin, and altcoins have done that, especially in the past cycles as well. Looking here at the RVI, you can see with each of these turquoise dots, we're in good location at the very, you know, bottom of the volatility, to then bounce back up towards the upside, rather than, you know, being in some sort of worse situation where we'd be up here towards the upside in some sort of, you know, oversold, or my bad, not oversold, overbought type territory, where we're at the highs and we're about to drop back down, build up some sort of volatility that's strengthened towards the upside. Here for MATIC, and I'll go over the price targets for all of these once I get over the actual analysis, but here we can see various set of trend lines. The pink, or my bad, not the pink, the yellow and the green trend lines are the exact same trend lines. They have the exact same slope. I just cloned the yellows and then flipped them in the green to show this bottom range. You can see with each of these green circles, you can see the importance of the yellow right here. You can see the importance of the red right here. And even on these two most recent bottoms right here, we're coming down and we're meeting this red resistance. Likely, I think, and we could go a little bit lower, like I have this white pattern right here, like I said, mentioned for Phantom, or we could, you know, do something like this black pattern. As I've been saying in general, I don't think, if we see some more lows, I don't think it'll happen any later than roughly November. At the latest, I think we would maybe, if we're going to bleed lower, Bitcoin, everything else included, I think it would bleed no later than, like I said, November, but no later than definitely December. I think 2024 and 2025 will essentially just be bullish years. But me personally, I don't think 2025 will be, because I think the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market is going to top out 2024. But anyways, we're printing pink vector candles right here. I think likely, you know, right here, insinuating some sort of double bottom. If we take out the RSI, we can see currently we're getting some bullish divergence. This could end up being invalidated within the next week or two. It's not really being seen on the stock RSI, but the stock RSI is towards the lows, something similar to like a last liquidation, this last downside, until some sort of last retracement until we finally, you know, reverse towards into an actual bull market. We can see we haven't even really broken out of our resistance on the MACD yet, so this is still looking to see this, although you can see that the Bollinger Bands associated with this MACD have been tightening up more drastically ever since roughly the lowest low was set back in May of last year. They've just been going sideways along it like the prior charts. Eventually, at some point, like I said, all this is going to have to be released, all this pressure, and it's all likely pointing towards the upside. Here we can see, again, it's a similar thing as I went over for the other charts for this RVI. We've reached our lows, we're kind of building back up, and we're oscillating roughly more in the middle until we have this final moment where we really then break towards the upside here to carry on out some sort of bull market. When it comes to price, we can see right here that around 64, 63, 60, let's just say 60 to 70 cents is important, and then I think about $1 to $1.05 is going to be important with respect to this yellow trend line. Then obviously around $1.35, and then around $2.70 to around $3 is going to be important. Here for XYO, this one is seeing a triple bullish divergence going all the way back to June, then to December of last year, and then to July of this year. Price was continuing, as you can clearly see within this falling wedge pattern, going lower, printing our pink vector candles at each of these lows, whereas RSI is continuing to build up towards this yellow line right here to roughly at 30 on the RSI. You can see going back to March of 2021, the only bull market XYO was seen. Once we broke this, that initiated it. We've broken it a few times within this downside, within this bear market low, this range we've been setting going all the way back to, like I mentioned, around May, June of last year. But we never broke this lower turquoise bound at around 60. Whenever we finally, you can see here that each and every single one of these subsequent lows in this bullish divergence, we've been getting closer, we've been converging to this yellow line. Again, it's all the same picture. Pressure is being built up during a bear market, during the range low of a bear market, until we finally break this line, and then after that we're going to have to break 60 on the RSI, and then we'll have to carry on out similar to how we did, clearly going all the way back to this area back here in the prior bull run. We look here at the stock RSI again, it's really the same pictures I've been pointing on all of them. We see we're more so entrenched in this lower range. We need to break towards the upside, similar to how we did back here. If we look at the MACD, again, it's the same type of picture. We're seeing this funneling, we're seeing this convergence. The MACD has also been having a bullish divergence going all the way back to even earlier, going back to January of last year. Like I said, we're seeing bullish divergence right here, and we're even seeing a mundane, some sort of exaggerated, a weak hidden bullish divergence with respect to these two tops right here, which correlate to July of last year and January of this year for Bitcoins, these local highs that it set during this bear market. If we look at the RVI, we're also seeing some sort of triangle building up from the lows towards this green line, like I said, until we finally flip it, seeing that this bullish divergence leading into an actual bull market. But when it comes to the highs, I think Phantom is likely to reach around $135 roughly. When it comes to, if we take the price target from the lowest low right here, according to my phase cycle theory, oh wait, no, this might be the wrong time. I'm thinking about MATIC. Never mind. Forget what I said about $137. I was thinking about MATIC. So this one I think is going to be around 2000x. If we take that from the lowest low, we go up again around 220. It was around like right here. So around like $350, it would actually be where I had that price target. I was just getting a little bit confused there. But roughly around, let's just say 340 to 370. That lines up with, if we look at the 1.577 of the highest high to the lowest low right here, we can see this is $300 to $400. That's probably just a rough, pretty cycle. I don't know what I just did there. It's pretty annoying. Okay, no, it's not. Anyways, $300 to $400 is just a nice $100 flat even range to look out for. It lines up with the golden pocket of the bull run. It lines up with my phase cycle theory as well. When it comes to MATIC, this is one that's around $135, $137, as I was mentioning. Until we break those price targets I mentioned earlier, there's not really too much to entertain about this. But whenever we finally do that, I do think that around, let's just say $100 to $140 is going to be what is most likely. If I take the Same type of extension that I did on Phantom. We can see this also lines up with the 1.618. This golden pocket range I use right here from 1.457 up to 1.618. The entire range is $46 to $125, but we could see some wicks up to maybe like 130, 140, like I said. Obviously, if all this is accurate, again, none of this is financial advice. None of this is absolutely conclusive. By all means, don't make decisions based upon what I see in the charts. Come to your own conclusions about what you see. When it comes to Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, XYO, this is the XYO to Bitcoin chart. The price target is also lining up with the 1.618 range, as I've been going over the prior two altcoins with respect to the all-time high down to the all-time low. This lines up with being roughly 0.00004 of a Bitcoin. As I've been saying, I think at least this coin's going to hit $1, but with respect to this specific price target, this is more around $6 to $8, depending upon when it tops out with respect to Bitcoin. Like, for example, if XYO is worth 0.00004 when Bitcoin's 200,000, it's going to be worth less than if it were to hit it when Bitcoin's 250,000. But I think $6 to $8 is what is reasonable. I think $1 is just pretty much guaranteed almost in this point. Obviously, this isn't in quotes guaranteed. Obviously, it's not guaranteed, but I think $1 is, I think it just has to hit $1 at the very least. And then I think maximal, as I've been saying, 10 to 14 is maximal, but I personally am banking on hitting $6 to $8 sometime around when Bitcoin tops out next year with respect to the halving, because that is what I personally see going on. I'm going to quickly pull up here the XYO to US dollar chart just to kind of give a some sort of, this is the wrong one, some sort of price target when it actually comes to a US dollar chart instead of XYO to Bitcoin. But if we look at this chart here, we can see that our 50 estimated moving average right here is currently lining up at around 0.007, so just shy of a penny. As I've been saying in a lot of my recent updated videos of this coin, I think around $1, or not $1, but $1.50 to 2.5 pennies could be a possible range. Where we come up here and we kind of head up to around $1.50, maybe a 2.50, and you kind of just sit in this area a little bit, just to kind of line up with this resistance right here. That could be possible. Just this general horizontal range right here with respect to price. It's possibly could sit in this range a bit and then finally break up massively towards the upside and head towards the either $1, $1.50, $2 at the least, or what I think is most likely, $6 to $8. But outside of that, that was all I wanted to go over and touch on in this video. So hopefully you're able to enjoy, hopefully you're able to take away something from this in an educational sense. But all of that being said, I hope you all have a blessed day.